Hey, it's Josh Jacobs, and you're listening to the Fantasy Football Counselor.
Welcome to the show, everybody. Joseph Robert, the Fantasy Football Counselor. Today we're talking about 10 sleeper must-haves. These are sleepers that I love, that I must have on my roster. I've done the research, looked at the depth chart, looked at the opportunity, and these are the sleepers I must have on my team because I'm very selective in regards to who ends up on the Fantasy Football Counselor's team, and you should be as well. So I'm going to list off and give you reasoning on why I like these particular 10 fantasy football sleepers for 2020. And I'm telling you, these guys are great value. I'm looking at them. The opportunity is there. The upside is there. The ceiling is there. And you can get them for pretty much nothing. I mean, they're practically free for the most case. Now, you might have to invest some earlier draft picks on a couple of these guys, but hey, it's going to be well worth it. Now, before I get into this, guys, couple announcements here. Now, training camp starts today from what we hear. So we're going to start going full flow into fantasy football. Tim the Bald Guy is coming back. Possibly next week, we're going to get the studio set up. We're going to be back full force in the studio. Hard for you. We've got Tom Santinello coming in on Wednesdays. We do it via Zoom call or whatever it is on the computer. So him and I are going to be doing more engaging NFL reality and fantasy conversations. Again, we're going to have our preview show for the week with me and Tom as well. Probably on the Thursday or Friday. Even Tim's going to be there doing a fantasy preview, and we're going to do a reality preview as well on this channel. There's going to be a ton of content. We're going to do a recap show, studs and sucks of the week, a DFS show Saturday. There's going to be a ton of content here for you. So I implore you guys, before I continue this video and go into these 10 sleepers, a couple big announcements as well. I'm going to continue here. First thing you got to do is click that subscribe button, okay? This is the complete #1 fantasy football podcast. We go year round. So guys, we're going to cover you on every aspect, reality, fantasy, DFS, everything right here on this channel. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button. That's #1. #2, guys, smash the thumbs up. It really helps the channel. It takes a second of your time, but it really, really helps the channel and helps get my message to more people that are actually in need of fantasy football help. So that thumbs up helps me, and it could potentially help somebody else who really wants to win their league this year, okay? And finally, guys, get the 16-round draft solution, guys. It's the game changer, the #1 training for fantasy football analysis. Draft kits are dead. Anyone selling you a draft kit might as well sell you a payphone. That's what a phone book, okay? So, guys, it's dead. You know, draft kits are dead. Get the 16-round draft solution and get the fluff, you know, fluffy stuff, and get the fluff out. This is the game changer, guys. 16 rounds, optimal players in each round. Get it at thefantasyfootballcounselor.com or link below. And of course, follow FTFN, guys. Something huge is coming. There's a link below, FTFN on Twitch. If you don't have Twitch, get it. And Fan to Fan Network on Instagram. All right, let's talk about these 10 sleepers that I must have. #1 here, guys. Very simple for me. Now, what's really appealing here for me is Phillip Rivers throwing the ball. And the guy I'm talking about is T.Y. Hilton. That's my first sleeper here. Now, Phillip Rivers, guys, understand, guys, he was 7th in attempts last year. So we know he throws the ball a lot. People say, Joe, you don't talk enough about stats. I talk a lot about stats. I know stats. But understand, when I present a player to you, the research, the analysis, the depth chart, the talent, the situation, it's all been researched and analyzed for you guys. So my first fantasy football sleeper is a wide receiver sleeper, and his name is T.Y. Hilton, and he's coming off in the 5th round. Why do I like him so much? Well, you got to look at the entire situation. When you look at the depth chart, first and foremost, he's on the top of the depth chart. There's no denying that. T.Y. Hilton is at the top of the depth chart. Now, Phillip Rivers, that's another plus to him because Phillip Rivers is a guy, as you know, he's made really good wide receivers fantasy relevant, right? Keenan Allen, the perfect example. A healthy T.Y. Hilton will be well worth 10x's value if you get him, guys, in the 5th round. That's where he's coming off. He's coming off with guys like DJ Shark, who's also, in my opinion, a sleeper as well, but not mentioned here as a must-have, but I like him. But T.Y. Hilton, man, I mean, wide receiver 1 on a team who's going to have a really good running game with Jonathan Taylor potentially, a really good O-line, and a good quarterback with a chip on his shoulder. Understand, Phillip Rivers, he's a little bit angry with all the criticism, and the guy wants to win a Super Bowl here. And I really believe the Colts, you know, they're young, but they also got some veterans on the team that could really take this team to the top. I love T.Y. Hilton as a sleeper. In the 5th round, getting a wide receiver 1, great value. Coming at #2 here as a must-have sleeper for me, a sleeper that I love, is David Montgomery. Now, there's going to be some guys here that you've heard me talk about before if you are familiar with the channel. But listen, why do I like David Montgomery so much? By the way, first and foremost right now, David Montgomery is sitting 24th on the rankings amongst running backs in PPR. Going back to T.Y. Hilton, he's sitting 26th amongst wide receivers. This is why they're sleepers. Now, going back to David Montgomery here, this guy, I'm telling you right now, he is primed for a good season. I was talking to his trainer, a guy that trains with him, been to his condo. He talks to David Montgomery. He's been working on his top-end speed. He wants to get those breakout runs. He wants to succeed. I've seen his work ethic. This guy's hungry. He was limited last year due to Nagy's bad coaching, being too cute, taking him out on 3rd and 1, which was ridiculous, putting Tariq Cohen on those short yardage plays, and he was losing yardage. So when you look at David Montgomery, 889 yards last year, 3.7 yards per carry, 6 touchdowns on the ground, that's going to go up, right? The 3.7 yards per carry is going to go up. He's going to do more. He's going to crack 1,000 yards easy in his sleep. Predicated he's healthy, barring any type of injury, he's going to dominate, okay? So when I look at a guy like David Montgomery, I'm like, this is really interesting. He's a workhorse running back on a team that we know as a floor is going to give him 260 attempts, guys. 260 attempts. Why not get David Montgomery in the 5th round? People are drafting Austin Eckler in the 2nd round. Now, Eckler is going to be good in PPR, but there's 2 big draws to him. Number one, he's not a complete workhorse running back. 132 attempts last year, not appealing. Yes, he makes it up in PPR, but who was throwing him the ball last year? Philip Rivers. He's no longer there. So I am questioning how many times he's going to get the ball this year, so I'm not investing a 2nd round pick. But in the 5th round, David Montgomery, are you kidding me right now? Are you kidding me? A full workhorse, true running back with no committee in the 5th round? That's a steal. This is a steal. It's robbery. I feel like a thief in the night stealing David Montgomery, and that's who I got here coming in number 2. Again, no real particular order, but I'm listing them for you. Number 3 here for you. This guy is currently sitting 17th amongst quarterbacks. And I absolutely love this guy. I'm telling you, I absolutely love him. The guy I'm talking about is Ryan Tannehill. Why do I like Ryan Tannehill so much this year? Guys, it's very simple. The guy had 224 fantasy points. This guy was an elite quarterback near the end of the season. 224 points. I know he's like, Joe, that's not a lot. But he did not play the first 6 games of the season with the Titans. So, again, I keep going back to the stats. I'm breaking down stats. He's averaging around 20 points a game. And if you add the 20 points to the 6 games he missed, what? That's an extra 120 points, right? That's a lot of points. It's a lot of points, 100, 120 points. You add that to 224, let's say it's 100 points. Okay, let's be conservative. In those 6 games let's see, they missed, you put another 100 points out. You add that to 224, you got 324 fantasy points, which puts him as a top 4 quarterback in fantasy. Very simple, guys. I'm trying to do the math in my head to show you guys this is an absolute steal at quarterback, and you can get this guy after the 9th round. You get him like super late, seriously. And he could be your quarterback 1. Absolutely love the upside. Understand he's going to be another year in the system. They've got a pretty decent O-line. He's got Derrick Henry. A.J. Brown takes a step up. And what's so fascinating is that everybody's so high on A.J. Brown, but they're forgetting the quarterback that's throwing on the ball. Now, this guy isn't on my list, but Teddy Bridgewater, another sleeper here at quarterback. Everyone's so high on DJ Moore. Who's throwing him the ball? You know, it's so hypocritical that the mainstream are just, hand-selecting certain players they like, but they're not talking about other guys that could have great seasons because they're not as popular as other guys. But Tannehill's a guy I absolutely love as a quarterback sleeper. Another quarterback sleeper, let's keep rolling with a couple quarterbacks back-to-back here, is Drew Lock. Now, we haven't seen much of Drew Lock. You only draft him, listen to the rule here, you only draft him as a backup quarterback with upside. That's it. You do not draft Drew Lock as your starter, even though this guy has the potential to be a top 10 quarterback potentially. We've seen bite-sized information out of him. We've seen 7 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 1,020 yards. We've seen a bite-sized fraction of what he can do. But understand, guys, that was his first year coming out, so he's got to get the jitters out, get in the flow of things. I see him possibly throwing a lot of interceptions this year, but there's a ton of ceiling and a ton of upside. He's got a ton of weapons. Jerry Jeudy out of the NFL draft, one of the most groomed and ready wide receivers and route runners coming out of the NFL draft, out of college into the NFL. He's going to be throwing them to him. So there could be a huge ceiling for Jeudy this year, potentially, but there is a lot of targets. Now, this doesn't bode well for guys like Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, Hambler, Fant, Melvin Gordon, that type of thing. But it goes really well for Drew Lock, and that's why he's a big-time sleeper that you can get pretty much going undrafted as a backup. He's got a ton of weapons. Judy, Sutton, Fant, they're going to be catching a lot of balls. He's got the weapons, so it's literally going to come down to how good is he. I've watched tape on him, quick release, smooth release, great arm, good pocket presence. That's kind of my critique on him. I think he's ready to go. Broncos believe he's ready to go. It's going to be very interesting to see how Drew Lock does this season. All right, number 5 here, pretty obvious. You've seen me talk about this guy, David Johnson, currently sitting 20th on the consensus rankings amongst running backs, going back to 2016. I know you're saying, Joe, you're going back to 2016. That's so long ago. He had a great year. I understand. He had a great year, 20 all-purpose touchdowns, 407 PPR fantasy points, absolute workhorse monster. The year after, fluke injury to the wrist. Okay, the year after, finished top 9 amongst running backs, so it's not like he completely busted back in 2018. In 2019, Kingsbury's a bit of a dick, sidelined him because he wanted a new system the way he wanted it, so he brought in Drake, sidelined David Johnson. Now, a lot of people are saying David Johnson did not perform. Obviously, would you want to perform for a team that doesn't really like you? I wouldn't. So that's what I think happened there. He was not trying. He was not putting in his entire effort. That's pretty much what was going on there. So David Johnson, he's going to have a great year with the Texans, a ton of volume. I'm looking for a 1,200-yard rushing season, 10 touchdowns minimum on the floor, and a ton of catches for David Johnson, who's going to be a primary focal point in the Texans offense. Beyond excited. Coming in number 6 here, DIONTAE Johnson. You've heard me talk about him. Currently sitting 42nd on the wide receiver rankings in PPR. This guy is going into a situation with Big Ben, and Big Ben is a guy that throws the ball a lot. In fact, he threw it so much, he led in attempts back in 2018 when he was healthy. Coming off an injury, understandable. It happens. People get hurt. Coming off an injury, but he's going to be fine. He's going to be good. Should be good to go. Juju has not proven he could be a full workhorse wide receiver 1. If you call wide receivers workhorses, it is what it is. So we have not seen that. We don't know if he can handle a double coverage. DIONTAE is a guy that can really, really step up, have a phenomenal season this season. And he did pretty well last year considering, guys, he had some pretty mediocre quarterbacks throwing him the ball, okay? Target DIONTAE Johnson as your wide receiver 3 with massive upside. Number 7 here, I got Darius Slayton. Why do I like Slayton so much? Well, listen, Slayton's got a ton of upside here. Only 83 targets last year, 48 receptions, but he led Giants in targets. So he was the most targeted wide receiver there. 740 yards. Listen, this guy's going to get a lot of volume this year, potentially. Sterling Shepard hasn't been able to stay healthy. Don't really trust the other receivers. Ingram could get some value and some upside, but I think Daniel Jones has that rapport with Slayton. I think they're going to be connecting quite often, and he's a sleeper. He's like, what, 42nd, 41st on the rankings? You get this guy like super late, get him as your wide receiver 3, who technically could be a wide receiver 1 on their team, and that's what you got to do, guys. You got to aim high on the depth chart. And, I mean, Slayton's really appealing. He could be total boomer bust, but you're not investing a lot to get him. Now, if you look at last year, guys invested in Odell Beckham round 1. They invested in Antonio Brown round 2, Devontae Adams round 1, and they completely busted, right? You're getting potentially a wide receiver 1 with a high ceiling, and you're paying nothing for him, literally. Big-time fantasy football sleeper, Darius Slayton. Like him, like the upside, but again, this guy could completely bust. You never know. But the improvements on the O-line, Daniel Jones coming into his own, could be a very interesting year for Slayton. I like him. Another guy here everyone's sleeping on. He's had some concussions, sitting 35th on the rankings. Brandin Cooks, another guy, a wide receiver 1 on his team. Now, some people are saying Fuller, but Fuller has not wowed me. He's more of a one-trick pony kind of guy. Doesn't really excite me, and he gets injured a lot. Cooks, relatively healthy throughout his career, had some concussions. I understand that. But they're going to be using him a lot. I think him and Watson are going to be connecting. I think this is going to be a good connection. And there's a ton of upside here. And again, great value, big-time sleeper. Next guy here, 2 other guys. I got a wide receiver and a running back. Again, guys, before I get to the last 2 picks, make sure you guys get that 16-round draft solution. It will help you guys crush your leagues. I'm literally handing you a win on a silver platter. You're going to absolutely love it. All right, next guy here, Michael Pittman, sitting 64th on the rankings here. Michael Pittman's a guy that could be a plug-and-play. Frank Wright believes in him, saying they drafted the best receiver in the college draft, in the NFL draft, coming out of college. So Michael Pittman's a guy, you know, big-bodied receiver. I don't know if his top-end speed is going to be phenomenal, but he's going to be a good red zone target there for Rivers. And trust me, if Hilton gets hurt, this is where I would actually handcuff a wide receiver. You get yourself Hilton, you get yourself Michael Pittman later, you're guaranteeing yourself a potential wide receiver 1 on the roster. Not sold on Zach Pascal, Paris Campbell, guys like that. Michael Pittman. Keep your eye on him. Love Michael Pittman. Next guy and the final guy I want to talk about here, sitting 44th on the running back rankings, is Alexander Mattison. Why do I like Mattison so much? Guys, he is the backup for Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook threatening holdout. Dalvin Cook can't stay healthy. Madison's a guy that was acquired by the Vikings for a reason. You get him on your bench. You don't get him as a handcuff to Dalvin Cook. You get him as a running back one potentially. A guy you can get later in the draft. You're going to draft him thinking in your mind he's going to be the RB1. So he's going to be your RB4, RB5 on your roster, but he's going to be an RB1 potentially on your team eventually when Dalvin Cook goes down, and he will. And even if he holds out, Madison's going to be a starter out of the gate. You get him as a guy late. He's a sleeper. Absolutely love Madison, guys. Target him in your rosters. This guy's going to be a steal when Cook goes down. I assure you he will. Get Madison, big-time sleeper this year. There you have it, guys. 10 running back, wide receiver, quarterback, sleepers, guys. Must-have sleepers right here for you on a silver platter. These guys are amazing. Potential upside here. Now, a couple of the guys here I mentioned could completely bust. A Drew Lock's a big risk. A Darius Slayton, big risk. Cooks is a big risk. It is what it is, but these are sleepers, great value guys that are near the top of their depth chart or at the top of the depth chart that could really succeed for you this year. There you have it, guys. Make sure you guys smash the thumbs up. Leave a comment below with what you guys think of this list. And, of course, your fantasy questions. I'll get to as many as I possibly can. Thank you for being here, guys. Subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. And get that 60-round draft solution.